Today we're going to talk about the top 3 ways to solve the problem when the seller's trying to cancel or go with another buyer. So your seller's gone dark. The first thing you have to do is you have to file a memorandum. Now there's a lot of argument in the wholesale community and creative finance community around memorandums. Some people utilize memorandums as a weapon against the seller. They have no intention on closing that transaction. They file a memorandum and they force that seller to renegotiate or sell to another buyer. That buyer comes to the closing table and now they have to fight on that memorandum and pay that wholesaler who never closed the transaction. So,
number 1, don't be that guy. Don't ever be that guy.
I have only used a memorandum, or my company, we've only used a memorandum when a seller has gone dark or to make sure the seller is aware we are dead serious about that transaction. So immediately file a memorandum. And if you guys need paperwork for a memorandum, hit me on Instagram, DM me here on YouTube, or leave a comment below and I'll help you out. I have the paperwork for memorandums, but file a memorandum. It basically is an interest in the property. It makes it so the title company is aware that there's a transaction or you have an interest in that property and they can't close escrow. So the challenge with memorandums is that there's an index time. So you go down to the county courthouse or the records department, the recorder's office, and you file a memorandum. And although it's immediate right then and there, you now have a memorandum on the property. Title or a closing attorney won't be able to see that memorandum for up to 14 days. So let's say your seller actually goes and sells the property to somebody else who offered more money. If it happens during those 14 days, the title company they're selling through will not see that memorandum. So you have to be very, very diligent and quick on filing a memorandum on a property you have interest in. Number 2, notify all title companies that you are aware of that you have a memorandum. So this is what saved the deal for me 2 years ago on a transaction. I had a seller that completely went dark on me. And the only way that I solved this problem was that I filed the memorandum and I knew that seller was in another transaction with another buyer. So what I did is I notified every title company I've ever done business with. Actually, it was 65 title companies. I emailed every one of their legal departments and I said, I have an interest in this property. Here's a copy of the memorandum. It has not indexed yet. And I'm letting you know that if you close escrow on this transaction with this seller and their new buyer, you have been now notified that I have an interest in that property. No joke, 5 minutes later, I get a call from a title company who said, oh my gosh, we have that escrow. It's closing tomorrow. Thank you so much for letting us know. Now the seller who went ghost on me, what did they really want? The thing that seller really wanted was they had a desire for more money. So what I did is I said, look, seller, we can go down a legal road and we get really nasty, but that is not who I am. So we worked out a transaction where my seller stayed in the property for a little bit longer. I gave them just a little bit more money and we were able to close escrow. Believe this or not, we ended up closing escrow 2 years after because I appealed to their desire. Their desire was actually to stay in the property for a little bit longer, get a little bit more money, but the market appreciated so much in those 2 years, I made an extra $50,000 more than I planned. So it worked out really, really well for me, but I showed the seller that I meant business and that they would not be able to go and sell to another wholesaler, investor, etc. So what I told Rick Saul to do is I said, immediately get a memorandum, get a copy of that memorandum and email every title company you've ever done business with. In fact, I think at the time when I sent out that email, I only had about 40 title companies that I've ever done business with. And I went out and did research on another 25, blanket emailed every one of their legal department and saved my deal from closing with another buyer in another part of town. Then I went to the seller and I worked out a transaction. I worked out a deal with them. Once they knew that I had legal right over that property, instead of being a jerk, I went to them and said, how do we work this out? And because I did that, I made an extra $50,000 on that transaction and that worked out perfectly. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. And although I do fix and flips, buy and holds, wholesale, and land development, my favorite passion of all is creative financing. And I created a 1-hour video to show you exactly how I use creative financing to build my real estate business. So click on the link below and go check it out.